Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Cousins Oliva. It's been a while since I did some videos because I was too busy being a wife, working two jobs. I work at the cleaners, and then I work at Project Onward, which is another job I'm working in. And I'm just now doing favors for my mother. So bear with me. I'm going to read this story to you. It's called Lost in Paris by Sydney Collingham. If you're new to this story, there's videos I did of me reading this book from the beginning to chapter 6. So you can go to where I'm reading it from the beginning. Today I'm reading chapter 7. And here it goes. This is chapter 7, everybody. Bridget began to tie her shoes. "What is it?" she asked me, without looking at the clue. Held it up like a little model of the building. I looked at it. Not a building, really, because there aren't windows. It's like a moment, maybe. We have one in Washington, D.C. called Washington Monument. There are words on the side. I turned it. It's time to fly. And exit along the side. I put a little building in my pocket. Bridget stood back up. It's time to fly, she repeated. And thought, "Does that mean anything to you?" "Nope, nothing." She looked at her watch. "Well, think about it. On the way." "Where?" "Fifi, PP. Remember? I didn't like the idea of disturbing our search now. But since we don't know where to go next, to Fifi, I agreed. On the short drive over, we brainstormed different ideas. It's time to fly. I put it in Google, which is what I got on my phone. I put it in Google, but didn't get anything useful. "These are harder than I thought," I complained. "Which one is your favorite?" Bridget asked me. "Which what?" "Ben Mammer, Alec, Winston, and Glenn," she asked. "Can I only pick one?" "Only one." "Winston," I said. "How are you?" "Alec." "Why Alec?" "He is British." "I love Brits," she said. "Why Winston?" "He's the cutest and the youngest," I said, "and I love French accent." The shock value member were mixed of age from youngest to oldest, where there are Winston, 16, Alec, 20, and Glenn, 26. You 16 hanging out with 20-year-olds. That's a problem. Clay was 30 years old when he disappeared. To the oldest, Glenn and Clay were also the two American of the band. Shock Value won the big TV talent contest 3 years ago. He came out awesome with a capital A song. When Clay disappeared years ago, they stopped recording and touring. Everyone was surprised that they didn't replace him. Only a few months ago, they released a new album without Clay. The music sounded a little different, but it's still fab. It's a short word for fabulous. It's a short word for fabulous. Bridget drove past a huge church. I could see the giant spires that looked like little monsters act into two sides, based on pictures. I couldn't tell it was Notre Dame Cathedral. "Look at these scary statues," I said. "We call them..." How do you sound these words out? Excuse me, I'm having a hard time sounding these words. Girl. Hold on, everybody. It's Gargouillis. Gargouilli. My computer's slow. It's been slow lately. Gargoyle. Gargoyle. It's like the creepy statues with bat wings and they look like dragons. That's what it called, gargoyles, Bridget says. Sound exactly like we call them gargoyles. I said, isn't it convenient when French and English words are the same and or most the same? Bridget giggled. And we make the first word that were the same in both language and Sky Bazaar, important zoo menus, garage, and most important to me, petite. We are here. Bridget pulled up in front of 4-story apartment buildings with beautiful iron balconies that look tragic. A doorman came with a Petmobile and opened my door for me. Bonjour, he says. Bonjour means hello in French. He said in a husky voice, Bridget, Paulus. Okay. This is French, so Bridget, Paul, les petits and the milks. Fifi is waiting on you. I think that's what he meant. Mercy is thank you in French. Now I know those words. So the guy says it's small and a husky voice for the small animals. Fifi is waiting for you. Mercy means thank you in French. Bridget says, we won't be long. We're on a hunt for those shock value tickets. Did you hear about the contest? Of course. Philip says, if I had more time, I would try it myself. I asked him if he knows what clue means. I whistled to her. Oh, Philip, do you know what it's time to fly means? Where's our clue? He rubbed his chin. Time to fly. The airport. I think it's airport. The time for a flight. That sounded possible. Maybe he said mercy. I followed her to the elevator, which is like none I've ever seen before. We stood on the platform, and Bridget pulled a cage wall down in front of us. The elevator rattled as it brought us to the 4th floor. I held on to the waist-high railing on the support. Oliva is one of the airports. It's one of our airports, Bridget says. Very big. It may not be a big airport. True. She lifted the cage and walked to the first door in the hallway. She pulled a gigantic key ring out of her lab coat pocket, and round the end of each key have a rubber cap. And each cap had a name written on slim black letters. She found Fifi's keys. A white, puffy, fluffy, yappy pup ran to the door. that sounded cute. When it tried to stop, it slid across the hardwood floor until it hit the wall with a little thud. Fifi don't see the mind. She redirected towards us and yapped more. Bonjour, Fifi. Bridget talked in a baby voice. She pulled a leash out another lab coat pocket and put it in a pouch. Comment vas tu? Es que tu... Okay. I'm gonna type this. This is French. How are you? Is it is that a good one? Is that a good female dog? Is that a good female dog? Let's go, she said to Fifi. We went back down to the elevator and walked down Boulevard, which it was lined up with many more buildings like Fifi. We turned the corner at La Boulangerie Moderne, a French bakery whose outside walls were painted in brick red and trimmed in gold paint and red and gold. Awning was decorated with the name, phone number, and a beautiful cursive. That sounds nice. With a small closet with a smell of croissant. I know what a croissant is. They sell those sandwiches at Dunkin' Donuts. Croissant. That's the name of the bread which was served for breakfast. With the smell of croissant in our wake, I smelled a brilliant building that made me think I was suddenly in Italy, not French. Wow. What's that? The Pantheon. What is it? It's one of our favorite places in Paris. Actually, it would be fair to all the favorite places if they heard me say that. but I like it a lot. She lowered her voice. It holds the remains of important people. You know what I mean by remains? I like the bodies, I ask. Corpse, which means dead people. People been dead for a while. I don't know why they mentioned that in the story. They add to make the idea of it more gruesome. Maybe we won't go in there, I said. I put back up besides the remains of its very beautiful mausoleum, and I love the story of why it was built, like a good story. I said, tell me King Louis the 15th was very sick. He made the vow to God himself. He said if he would recover, he would replace the ruin of the church that used to be there with a magnificent building. Then he did discover and built this. It looked like all of Paris. As quickly as she'd given me a brief history lesson, she focused on Fifi, baby making more in French. She was more interested in the dog than the incredible historic building in front of us. Maybe she was used to walking around seeing ancient stuff in buildings like this. But I wasn't. While I was at the Pantheon was beautiful and I was wanting to learn about it, I didn't have anything to do with that. It's time to fly. When I said gargoyles fly, gargoyles fly, don't they? Maybe a time to fly is sending us to a gargoyle in Paris. I googled gargoyles in Paris. There were hundreds across the city, way too many to check out. Maybe it's telling time. Maybe it's about telling time. Like a watch, she said. Of course, I yelled. That's brilliant. Is there a famous clock tower? There is guarding lion, but maybe it's too easy. Obvious, I said. Right, obvious. She said, I was thinking Paris is home for most famous watches. In that factory. No, a store, she said. Cartier. This is all the chapter 7. Now, this is still Gwen. Still with Fifi. Still looking for clues. They met some of these band members. I found out for some of the band members, Winston is the youngest in the group. Clay is the oldest in the group because he's 30. The rest of them is in their 20s. So there's 4 guys in the group. He won a talent show. I learned about gargoyles. They talked about gargoyles, the statues from the buildings. We all see gargoyles before. So that's all for today. I'm gonna come back. I might come back with something interesting. Alright, love you all and have a good one.